Hello and welcome to Off My Shelves, and this is a look at Chainsaw Man, volumes 1 to 11 by Tatsuki Fujimoto, and let's get underway. Chainsaw Man is one of the... Well, actually, whenever I try to think about what I'm going to say about Chainsaw Man, I can only think of the battle scenes, because the battle scenes in this book are amazing, I think, and the audacious, outlandish kind of bad guys and demons that are created by Fujimoto to fight his main character, his Denji Chainsaw Man. They're just amazing, but it is just an all-out kind of mad demon fighting chaotic book, to be fair, which you would expect from a book called Chainsaw Man, I would assume. But anyway, before I get too far into the story, volumes 1 to 11 are all out currently, and that brings to an end the first part of the saga of Chainsaw Man. I'm guessing it's going to go on and on beyond volume 11, but whether they renumber the series, I'm not too sure yet. They're all tankobon size, all black and white in the interior, so no colour pages whatsoever, and they're that kind of, you know, thick old stock matte paper that you get on tankobon books like this. Everything is fairly standard about them, apart from the story within. So Chainsaw Man starts out following our main character Denji, and Denji is pretty much... He reminds me a lot of Scott Pilgrim, in fairness. He is pretty much one of the stupidest characters you're ever going to come across. But later on in the series, you kind of feel sorry for that, because he proves himself to have literally no education, no real grounding in how the world works or anything. So he's really, really behind in many, many respects. And in fact, his biggest ambitions in life is to kind of kiss a girl or lay down with her, not even necessarily have sex, but have a girlfriend, maybe having food, and that's kind of his main expectations of life. Very simplistic outlook on life on every level. But it starts out with him having to sell lots and lots of body parts to recover money for a debt. Essentially, he's trying to recover money for a debt that his father incurred. His father died, so he inherited that debt. But at his father's gravesite, Denji meets Puchita, who is a demon, and this book is filled with demons. It never really explains or bothers much with world building. It just introduces elements, and you kind of take it as that's the world then. For example, it opens up and the world is full of a variety of different demons and fiends and loads of different levels and tiers of bad guys, essentially. And they're demon hunters. But Puchita helps Denji become a demon hunter, and they go out trying to earn money slaying demons. But a group of people who are hiring Denji as a demon hunter sell him out, and then he basically ends up getting killed, and Puchita gets killed at the same time. But Puchita and him make a deal in the final moments, because he just wants him to live a normal life, you know, have food, have meals regularly, because he's, you know, starving. He doesn't know when the next meal is coming from. He's selling his limbs and his eyes and his kidneys and everything like that to get money to pay off his debts, and he's starving. And so Puchita sacrifices himself for Denji to get a normal life, and then Puchita becomes one with Denji, and he repairs his body, because the demons in this story, when they acquire human blood, they regenerate and things like that. So then Denji and Puchita becomes one, and Denji then becomes Chainsaw Man, and he pulls a cord in his chest and turns into just this monumental killing machine with chainsaws coming out of his head, his arms, his legs, everywhere really. He is just an absolute beast. And then he gets introduced to Makita, and Makita is the person in charge of an organisation that hires people like Denji to take out high-ranking demons. And she kind of manipulates Denji quite a lot initially and makes him become her pet, because otherwise, if he's not her pet, if he's not doing her bidding, then he's a demon that needs to be killed. And so she very much manipulates him, but Denji, being so stupid, doesn't really see the manipulation at all. And that's one of the kind of defining things throughout this book, is Denji is very, very naive, very easy to take advantage of, doesn't realise how much power he has, how much strength as a human he has, and how much strength as Chainsaw Man he has. And so a lot of this book is kind of him going through the motions to try and uncover who he is, what he can do, what he's capable of in both forms, Chainsaw Man and human. So they go to Devil Hunter HQ in Tokyo, and that's where the whole story kind of kicks off. There's one massive demon called the Gun Demon that they are trying to band together to take out, and in the Tokyo HQ he's introduced to other levels of people who are possessed, other people who have got demons in them or have been overtaken by a demon, and so you get, like I say, different tiers of possessions and deals and things like that. You have some people who have just literally made a deal to acquire certain powers, you know, like regeneration or like amazing speed or so many different things. I wouldn't even start to get into it because it's mind-boggling how many powers kind of creep in and out of this story, to be honest. But then you get Power, who's on the cover of volume 2 over there, and she is a fiend, and a fiend is a human being that's been totally possessed by a demon, if I've interpreted that right, because I did struggle to understand certain parts of the lore of this book. But Power can manipulate blood, so she'd turn blood into different objects, for example. The thing that this book could have done more of, I think, and could have done more with, is it certainly could have given more depth to Denji, I think, initially, because Denji kind of is not the most interesting of characters because he's so one-dimensional going through, because his wants and his needs are so very simplistic and basic. The other characters in the book naturally become more interesting than him, up until the point that he starts battling. When he starts battling, it's all about Denji and Chainsaw Man because his battles are so epic and cool. I mean, honestly now, if I were to describe some of the battles in this book, visually what you see, they're amazing, some of them. They really are the highlights of the book, I think, to be fair. Denji as a character in general kind of gets lost because of the simplicity of him. But I will say that by the end of all of them, he does have more depth and more layers to him. But it does take quite a while. So you naturally kind of go to other characters like Power, who is just funny because she's so selfish and she's so kind of in her own head, and she's just amazingly funny. Other characters like Makima, actually not Makita, Makima, she has got a great story arc in this, and to a certain degree you can say that it follows more closely and gives more depth and detail to the characters that are not Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is almost the kind of MacGuffin in the story. He's the thing that everybody's trying to get at or trying to get something from or trying to make him do something. But either way, this series of books fly along at a breakneck pace. They're really quick and fun read, and I will say that more than anything is that my only problem going into books like this sometimes is sometimes I naturally look for more depth or more kind of, you know, layered storytelling, when ultimately it does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be a fun action comic with interesting, funny characters, and it's all that, and it really builds to those big action set pieces massively, and it delivers massively on the action set pieces, and the conversations are funny, and some of the scenes in it are absolutely disgusting. And I will say, it's not for the faint-hearted. A book called Chainsaw Man is not going to be for the light-hearted. There's a lot of brutality, a lot of absolutely disgusting scenes. His first kiss in it, for example, is insanely disgusting but super funny as well. And yeah, and I really did enjoy it. It's just certain little bits that if they were tweaked I would have enjoyed it a little bit more, and I will probably keep following Chainsaw Man forward, but I certainly think you can read 1 to 11 and have a complete story arc, and it's up to you whether you want to take that character further there. But certainly you get all the highs and all the lows and all the action and all the intrigue and mystery and everything in this book and in this series of 11 books. I suppose the best way to think of volumes 1 to 11 is kind of, this is the origin story of Chainsaw Man. This is how he got his powers, what he did with them, and him becoming the Chainsaw Man, essentially. And that's all I got to say about Chainsaw Man. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.